If you drive just south of here, you're going to come to Chula Vista. And if you go east of Chula Vista, there is a road called Proctor Valley Road. And Proctor Valley Road, it's not like other roads. There's a local San Diego podcast not long ago. They described Proctor Valley Road as the country's most haunted, most demon-infested road. That's a heck of a reputation to have. People who go out to Proctor Valley Road, it's a little dirt road that snakes through a chunk of wilderness between Chula Vista and Jamul. And people who go out there, they experience pretty much every kind of paranormal activity and strange, unexplainable phenomena you could imagine. The road, it's got ghost stories, it's got a big hairy monster, a Bigfoot-type creature. People talk about lights in the sky and UFOs, they talk about witchcraft and black magic. So the whole road is like a whole season of the X-Files, all packed into one little chunk of wilderness. They say there's just something about that bit of wilderness that holds on to the past. Call it a presence, call it an energy. But there's something different about it. Some people say there's something sinister about it. Now, I've been collecting stories from Proctor Valley Road for the past couple of years, and many of us who are here, we've been telling those stories as a series of stories about Proctor Valley Road in schools and libraries around Chula Vista. But the story I want to tell you today is the story of Luis. Luis, he was a high school student. He went to high school in Chula Vista, but he lived out in Jamul. So he had to drive down that dirt road through that wilderness, and it's all just kind of hills and just sagebrush and chaparral. It's all just wilderness. The Sweetwater Dam is near there also. He was on his way to prom. It was nighttime. He was driving down that road on his way to prom at his high school in Chula Vista, but he wasn't even sure why he was bothering going to prom. You see, he had made plans to go to prom with Sylvia. She was the prettiest girl in his class. He had always thought she was the prettiest girl in the world. Luis, his mom always said she used a word to describe him. She called him enamoradizo, which means like he's prone to fall in love with people. And Sylvia was his just forever crush. Since grade school, he'd had a crush on her. Finally, he got up the nerve to invite Sylvia to prom. So he was driving to prom, but when he invited Sylvia, she said yes, and he was so happy. And then she said, but Luis, we're just going as friends. You know, I love you like a brother. Ouch! Friend zone, the worst feeling in the world. She said, let's just drive separate. We'll meet up over there. So he was driving his truck down Proctor Valley Road, and you know, the sun had already gone down, and he was just in a gloomy mood. He had his suit on, he had his suit coat lying across the passenger seat of his truck, bumping along down that road, and the weather started to match his mood. The dark clouds filled the sky, and it started to drizzle. That drizzle mixed with all the dust of the road, got his car good and dirty, which is great. Then the drizzle turned into a full-on rainstorm. Rain just pouring down, sheets of it, where you could only see a couple feet ahead of his headlights. He had to drive real slow and careful. He's driving along, and then he saw something up by the road. Something bright white by the roadside. What is that? And he slowed down. Is that a piece of trash? What? No, it's much too big. He got closer, and he saw it was a young lady. A girl wearing a beautiful white dress. She was about his age, standing on Proctor Valley Road in the middle of the rain. Well, he pulled over, he rolled his window down, and he said, can I help you? And she said, yes, please, can I get a ride? Of course, please. He opened the door for her. She got into the truck. She was shivering from the rain, so he took his suit coat and put it over her shoulders. He said, how did you end up out here? She said, well, I'm on my way to prom, you know. I'm not even sure why I'm going to prom anyway, because I was supposed to go with my boyfriend, but my boyfriend, he broke up with me on prom night. So I was just going by myself. I was going to hang out with my friends. I borrowed my dad's car, but it's kind of an old car, and it broke down out here on Proctor Valley Road, so I was just standing by the roadside, hoping someone would pick me up, and you were so nice, and you picked me up, and that's great. And they started chatting, and they really hit it off, and Luis, you know, he told her his story about getting friend-zoned by Sylvia. And when he looked at this girl in the white dress, he thought, you know what? This is the prettiest girl in the world. Forget about Sylvia. She's old news. This girl is gorgeous. And we're kind of hitting it off. He told her his story about Sylvia, and the girl said, well, if she just wants to be friends, maybe she won't mind if I dance with you at prom. And Luis, he said, I don't care if she does mind. Of course we're going to dance together. That's a great idea. So they're driving along in his truck and chatting, and then they get to a lull in the conversation, and they're just kind of in the quiet and the rain coming on the windshield and bumping along that dirt road. And Luis, he says, you know, I'm really glad that I met you, and it's kind of nice to have company with me too, because to be honest, this road, it's always kind of creeped me out. You know, they tell stories about this road. They say it's haunted. People say there's even a monster out there. They say there's something weird, some presence out there. And the girl, she said, yeah, you know, I've heard a lot of those stories myself. She said, in fact, I heard one ghost story that I've heard a lot about this road. They say that there was a girl driving down this road many, many years ago. She was on her way to prom. She was driving her father's car, and then the car broke down, so she had to get out in her white dress in the rain. Luis, he just kind of kept holding the steering wheel. He thinks, this is sounding kind of familiar. But he just kept listening, and the girl said, yeah, this girl got out of the car, and she was waiting for someone to pick her up. So she went and stood by the roadside, but nobody picked her up. All the cars drove past. And then one car came, and the driver, he was drunk. And he wasn't watching where he was going. And he didn't see the girl. And he hit her. Killed her. Right here. On Proctor Valley Road. And they say that that girl's spirit still haunts Proctor Valley Road. All these years later, they say that she's out there still just trying to get to the dance. And Luis, he didn't turn, he just kept holding the steering wheel. And he kept driving. He said, yeah, wow, that's quite a story, you know. To be honest, you know, ghost stories, they've always kind of made me afraid. I've always been freaked out by ghost stories. And then he heard the girl's voice, but it was closer. In fact, it was almost right in his ear. She said, I know exactly how you feel. I used to feel that way myself, back when I was alive. And Luis, he turned to look to see if she was joking or if she was smiling, but the girl was gone. Nobody was sitting next to him. There was nothing but his own suit coat draped across the passenger seat, only now it was soaked in rain. Proctor Valley.